Hi guys, welcome to another breakdown of Euro USD. Let's take a look at the monthly time frame because I remember we started off the last analysis looking at the monthly time frame on Euro USD, and we saw that price was coming down a bit, right? We see we pushed up a bit this week, but it wasn't a lot of movement. But I think it's significant to note that Euro USD isn't 100% sure exactly where it's gonna go. It's not looking 100% bearish or 100% bullish. If you look at the price action for the week, this entire week's candle that passed went up, then back down. We didn't close 100% bearish. We still have some bullish momentum in the market, but we'd see how things go. Again, looking at the bigger picture, we have been in a downtrend for some months, actually, for more or less for the entire year, and price has found some support down at the lows at 108, 106, and we're looking to see what price action shows up for this week coming here. If I take now, just like Euro JPY, we could see some similarities in price action. We've been in a downtrend, we've made a low. Now from that low, we've had some strong bullish momentum. However, we have not been able to break the previous high. In Euro JPY, if we just glance back quickly, we were able, this was the most previous high, we were able to break that high. So I see a little more bullish momentum in the Euro JPY versus the Euro USD. Now, as I said before, we were in a downtrend. We've seen a strong bullish action, but we haven't been able to break past the previous high as of yet. And I'll mark up the previous high that was up here at 1495. But I like to round off things in round numbers, so I'll call that 1500, 1.15, right? Excuse me, just had to do. So what I like to do, as I did before, is identify the highs and the lows for the previous week. We had a high at 1348, approximately 1350, as we like round numbers, because those are the levels that the banks trade at. 1350, round number, the high of last week. I need to label that as last week's high. Last week's high. Okay, if last week's low coming in at 1.1170, last week's low, right? That could come down a little more into what 1168. Do I see any other levels that I think require noting? No, for now. I drop down into the daily time frame, establish the last day's high and last day's low. So Friday we formed a little doji candle. That's not the kind of price action I like to see, but I mean, it was Friday, so you know that the market slowed down a bit on a Friday. We have Friday's high, text Friday's high, and then we have Friday's high came in at 1238.7, and then we had Friday's low at 1195.3. And as I explained before in the previous pair, how I like to analyze the markets, we have a overall bias on the higher time frames, but based off of my trades go day to day, the price action I see on a day-to-day basis, and that has for me been the most significant change in my trading. It allows you to adjust for different market conditions. So whether you have a ranging market, whether you have a strong bullish market, strong bearish market, you could adjust. You don't have to adjust your fundamental trading plan in terms of analyzing the highs and the lows of the previous week and the previous day and making the decisions based on how price comes and reacts around these highs and lows. So we've established the high for the week, the low for the week, the high for Friday, and the low for Friday. So what I'm looking at is that last week's low at 1168.6, if we could maintain price action, and I believe in the last video my analysis was the same around these areas, and I sent some screenshots to show you guys. We caught the buys up for 50 pips into, I can't remember what was the take profit at, but you all have it. But we caught buys at the start of the week, and I know some people got in at sells. I didn't take the sells, but got in at sells at retest of the previous week's high. Looking at Friday's low, what I see happening now, because this doji candle was so small, I'm not too sold on a retest of the Friday's high and the Friday's low to get that strong price action in. What I think would happen is we'd either break the low or the high of Friday and go into retest a bit deeper for this new week, and then see whatever price action, and then see whatever movement, whatever strong bullish or bearish movement we expect to see later on in the week, like Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere around there. So if it is, we could get a retest. All right, let me drop down to the forward time frame to see that a little better. All right, nice. All right, one thing to note: we made a high, we made a low, we made a lower high, we made a lower low. We made a lower high because this low, if it is we zoom in, is still lower, even though it's probably like 5 or 10 pips lower. It's still a lower low at the end of the day. So if it is, we could come down and make a lower low, break below last week's low. We could see some strong downward momentum enter the markets. And this is a perfect example. I didn't notice that on the higher time frames, but we could see a clear market structure beginning to play out. Now at the end of the day, price action and the present, anything could happen, but there's a clear market structure in terms of highs and lows. High, let me see if we could use our tools. Right, we got the marker. High up here, we made a low, we made a lower high which is lower than this high, we made a lower low which is lower than the previous low, we made a high which formed last week's high, which is when I say high, I mean a lower high, because if you look at the wick action here, this high is lower than this high, and then we are currently in the process of making a low. So we could see some downward pressure into, if I switch my tools, I think the next level to look for would be around, to be honest, first I would begin to look at 1.1100 as coordinates. 1.1100, and my second downward target would be somewhere possibly 1150. Yeah, actually 1150 to play it safe, because you want to go level by level. 1150, and then after 1150 the next position I'll be looking at is 1.1. Right, those are my downward targets coming in for this week. And then upward targets, if it is we break the high of last week, our next position is the lower high, the higher high at 1500. That is like a 250 pip move if I'm not mistaken, like from this level, which is the last week's high. If we break last week's high, that's if we get the bullish momentum into the market. That's 150 pips, not 250 pips, sorry, 150 pip move to the upside. That would be the next resistance based on the price action we've seen from the previous times or the past or whatever. So coming into this week, ideally I would like to see a retest of this high, forming a lower high, and then see some downward price action. If it is we break past the low, thanks for yawning in my video, Desha Hamilton, and then we could break below the the low of last week and then play these levels coming down. So you see in this price, actually like this price action and looking at it on the forward time frame. I didn't notice it on the daily time frame. But keeping in mind, it's not guaranteed that we're going down, guys. It all depends on what happens in the news, what happens in the stock market, what happens in the US economy. But how things are looking, I think we're gonna continue strong on the dollar and it's gonna weaken everything else. But that's my overall bias. As I've said before, I don't weigh my bias the heaviest. For me, what weighs the most is the price action in the present moment, the price action per session. So basically, if I see this continue playing out and we break the last week's low, we could see some nice sells on a retest. So if let me see if I could delete this. Let me show you what kind of price action we see. Now, if we don't get in on a sell from a retest of last week's high, we could break below last week's low here. We'd come up, retest last week's low as resistance, and then get sells down these levels going down like that, right? I hope that helps. So we can move on to another pair. If I delete all these things, wait now. I could keep them. Yeah, I'll keep them because that's essentially what I would be using to trade because that's how I trade. So I would leave them on the chart.